Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Southside Beat here on DK Pittsburgh Sports, presented to you by FanDuel. My name is Chris Halicke. Joining me, as always, we are back from Ireland. Matt Williamson. Matt, how are you doing, and how was your trip to Ireland? I know we hooked up there for a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, how was your time there?
It was wonderful. I mean, I enjoyed the people, the Guinness, the football, the friends, the whole experience. First time I'd ever been to Europe. I mean,
Nice.
I was fortunate enough the Steelers sent me, so I was on one of their planes, which was probably a little more comfortable and a little more direct than other people's, travel. I'm not a great traveler, to be honest with you, and I never adjusted to the time whatsoever. But hey, whatever. I am happy to be home though too.
I thankfully did adjust. It was only the second time I've done like a transatlantic trip.
Okay.
I was at my wife and I went to Italy and Greece for our honeymoon, but that was 14 years ago. I was a lot younger then, and it's a lot easier to get adjusted to time differences and everything like that when you're young. And you also
didn't have assignments. You didn't have to be at practice at a certain time or whatever. You could sleep as much or as little as you wanted,
Yeah, and so getting there, I got there Wednesday morning, and staying awake for the rest of that day was not easy, but that's what you got to do, because if you don't stay awake that day and you get there, it's going to be rough. But no, it was a great time. I know, like I said, we drank plenty of Guinness together. It does taste different over there than it does here. I can attest to that. I am a big Guinness drinker regardless. The towel I actually got was from Ireland. That's
new, huh? Okay.
Yeah, that's a new thing now. So no, it was a great time. I love Dublin, Ireland. My wife, I'm bringing her over at some point, because like I said, top of her bucket list has always been Ireland, and
cool.
Yeah, so we're gonna go. But yeah, just wanted to we were just in Ireland. We had to talk about it.
Oh yeah.
And Jim brings up a pretty interesting question here. Do you think the NFL could create a developmental league in Europe? And I don't know what the expansion of the game will look like in Europe, but I do think teaching the game to the youth there is definitely part of it. I don't know if it would turn into something like a developmental league, but
I'm older than you, and I remember NFL Europe, and I just don't remember the details well enough. But I know a lot of former head coaches were in charge of the team, and it wasn't a developmental league, but it was an opportunity and they weren't just European players either.
No,
you get drafted out of Kansas or North Carolina and end up in NFL Europe. Any developmental league's right for me, and not because I'm an ambassador for the game. I guess we are to some degree, but I want to see offensive linemen get developed. I want to see referees get developed. I want to see quarterbacks get developed, things like that. I've always proposed I'd love to see a minor league system. Like you call up, like the Penguins call up a goalie,
Yeah. I mean, because baseball's minor league system is very, very expanded. They have several layers to that. Hockey has more than just one, but not quite as expansive as baseball's. But no, football does not have a developmental league, a developmental system. The developmental system is college football.
Yes, but they don't teach your system.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So I would also like to see something like that, and I think eventually, maybe down the road, that's what we will end up seeing. I don't know if it'll just be in Europe, but the game is growing. And I know that the NFL has certain things in place for, like, you're allowed to have an extra player on your practice squad if that player is an international player. Like, for example, the Steelers have Julius Welshoff, an edge rusher, on their practice squad because he's from Germany, and he can.
Christian Williamson, no relation, was one of those guys. Yeah.
Right. And so you can have, like, you're allowed 16 players, but you're allowed a 17th spot on your practice squad if one of them is an international player. So
might as well.
Why not? Yeah. So it's really cool to see how the game is growing. Yes, I still think there's a lot of growth to go for the NFL to be truly global. But I do think it is growing, and to see the ratings that the Dublin game got, it's the second most watched international game on NFL Network, which I think was really, really cool.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think the only game that was higher than that was 2023 Dolphins Chiefs in Germany. So Yeah, and then like it was like average of like 7.6 million viewers or 7.9 million viewers, somewhere around there. And then from 12:30 p.m. Eastern to the end of the game, so like the final minutes of the game, there was an average of 9 million viewers. So there was a huge spike in viewership during the final moments, and it was exciting near the end for sure.
Yeah. And some people might slept in and tuned in late or whatever, especially the West Coast people, right?
No, yeah, for sure. But on that note, probably a good way to segue into the actual
lastly,
game itself.
Chris, I assume you agree with me, but there'll be more games there.
Yes.
Yeah. And
100%.
I think that was a successful mission, and there will be more NFL games in Croke Park or Ireland for sure.
I would even think we were kind of having this debate when we were on the South Side. Like I said, we like the collective media. We're sitting there waiting to talk with. It was Wednesday. We're sitting there waiting to talk with Terrell Austin and Scott McCurley and Denzel Martin, and we're just kind of talking like where else in the UK even can they play? Because yes, they've played in London, but can they play up in Manchester? Can they play up in Scotland? Because Edinburgh and Glasgow both have large football at a soccer
size stadium.
Yeah, but no, absolutely big enough. So Scotland could be possibly down the road. Then you look at Germany itself and the Steelers, if and when they play in Germany, the three cities that have hosted games there are Frankfurt, Munich, and Berlin. But the Steelers have a partnership with Borussia Dortmund, who plays in Dortmund, which is very, very northwest Germany. So you would like to think if the Steelers ever play in Germany, it's going to be at that stadium, which is way larger than Acrisure Stadium is.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes, it's huge. So I think it's like 80-something thousand people in Borussia Dortmund. So
and they fill it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just saying, like, there are more and more places to go, whether it be in Ireland, whether it be in the UK or elsewhere in Europe. And then, we've seen Brazil, Mexico City is probably going to be a place the Steelers play eventually. So yes, the game is growing, and I don't think that's going to be the only game in Dublin. I think they'll come back, and it wouldn't surprise me if the next time they came back, they wanted the Steelers to play there again. But I also understand, don't have the same team there every time.
Yeah, I'd love them to go as a quote road team, because that would not be a road game.
That would not be a road game. That would not. I don't think the NFL would be able to get away with that. I think the other team would look at that and be like, "What? Come on."
Yeah, that's not cool. I know we need to talk football and whatnot, but I definitely think that the league is going to an 18-game schedule with 2 byes at some point, which will also make international stuff easier because you can structure byes around it. Well, no one will be like the Browns next week where you play and then you don't have a bye after. That would create an interest. I mean, you'd probably think that every team would have an international game every year. That's what I was going to say next. Is I bet there would be 16, or there'd be one per team basically.
Yeah. And the good thing is that you're not always giving up a home game to go play, or maybe that's I don't know. If they go to 18 games, then it'd be 9-9. So it's not like it would be now, which they need to get away from 17 games. Either go back to 16 or expand to 18. I don't care how you do it. Just get away from 17. It's just so weird. I hate it.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny.
18 is coming.
Well, so here's the one funny part. We'll take a quick break after this and actually talk football. But when they were, playing those videos on the screens ahead of the game, to help explain, like,
I found that really funny, and
it was funny.
And I didn't mean it that way, like laughing at people who don't know, but I just thought, man, I remember when I was 6 years old and I would have loved those things,
Yeah. Well, the part that made me laugh was, NFL teams play half of their games at home and half of their games on the road in a 17-game season. I'm like,
everyone here is probably like, I bet they don't.
Yeah. Like, that's American education for you. You can't split 17 and a half.
Right.
I mean, you can, but you don't have whole numbers at that point. So, good old ref. Like, my son's in 4th grade, and I'm starting to learn about relearn this kind of stuff about like whole numbers and fractions and all this kind of stuff. And there you go. Yeah, you can play 8.5 of your games at home and 8.5 of your games on the road, and it's half. All right, there you go. Anyway, or 9.5. I don't know. I'm not even gonna do the math. Anyway, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back, and we'll talk about that game, the actual game itself, but also the fact that the Steelers have started off 3-1 which is a pretty big deal, not just because 3-1's a good record, but when you look at the rest of the AFC North, it's a pretty big deal. So we'll get into that right after this.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Hey guys, the Steelers are on a bye week, but football season is in full swing, so it's time to check out the latest odds, futures, and win totals on the FanDuel Sportsbook. If you think the Steelers are going to win the AFC North based off of the way the rest of the division's looking, you better lock your bet in today before the odds change. So whatever your game, FanDuel Sportsbook delivers the latest lines, futures, and specials so you can join in on all the action. 3-1 to start the year. The Steelers do get a 24-21 win over the Vikings. In Dublin, I thought the game was way better than the final score indicated. The final yards given up indicated. I thought the Steelers played their most complete game, but I was as encouraging as the offense's performance was, I was more encouraged by the defense. What say you?
Agreed. Now, the thing I was going into that game, the thing I was most worried about on the field with the team was getting a running game going offensively. So that was a big step, and I don't want to just poo-poo that, that they did run the football even without their best running back, and so that was a great start. And I thought Rodgers' command, despite his pedestrian numbers, was really apparent in that game as well. But yes, absolutely the defense, the aggression, the conflict they're putting the quarterbacks in. Now, the Vikings had some O-line injuries, to be kind.
They did.
They were decimated. And Wentz will do Wentz things at times, but that's what you're supposed to do to teams like that. And yeah, there was a coverage gaffe with Addison. Okay. That's a side note. I'm not excusing that play at all, but it just bothers me sometimes because Steeler fans can be so Steeler-centric. They think they're like the only defense that, quote, blows coverages. No. These offensive coordinators try to do that to you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, and also, for example, like what happened on that play, your primary communicator on the back end is Jalen Ramsey. He's not on the field because of an injury. Your second nickel, which the main communication for the secondary when they're in nickel goes through the nickel. So that's because Ramsey is the nickel.
Because it's him.
Yeah, all the time. So if he's not on the field, then your nickel is pretty much your communicator there. And your second nickel is Brandon Eccles, and he's not on the field because of an injury. So your two primary guys who would be communicating anything to the back end, whether you are running a buzz or whatever kind of check or whatever call that's being made, it's harder to do that when you don't have your primary communicators, and that kind of stuff doesn't just happen to the Steelers. It happens everywhere. So there's always a different reason usually for why communication issues break down. If it's frequent and it happens often, then that's a communication issue in general. We have not seen that over the last 2 weeks.
Right.
We've seen communication breakdowns. It's been few and far between. That was one where it literally is because of the attrition they were dealing with. That's why they blew that coverage. So I'm not concerned about that. I'm not concerned about the way the defense looked in the fourth quarter. I'm not concerned about the coaching decisions that were made. I thought the Steelers played a very, very complete football game. They ran the ball well. If I put it this way, when DK and I were doing double shot of Steelers earlier, if the Steelers defense plays like that for the rest, like every game for the rest of the season, they're a contender.
I agree.
They will have a chance to win any football game they play if that defense plays like that every single week.
Because if they play like that, they will, without question, cause big plays, hit quarterbacks, create a lot of chaos. Maybe once in a while get beat over the top when you're aggressive. So be it. That's the way it goes. But they flew around the football field. They were playing downhill. Guys like Queen look. The whole defense looked faster, more aggressive, more violent, and that goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. On the offensive side, we kind of got into this a little bit. There's still a big thing, and I think people will look at PFF grades or other whatever and be concerned about the fact that Aaron Rodgers is bottom of the league in average depth of target, and you're like, when are you going to finally take the top off of defenses? I also, for example, I'm going to look it up whenever I pass it along to you next, because I haven't actually looked at the disparity. We know that Rodgers' average depth of target is bottom of the league.
Oh, yeah.
But we also, I can almost guarantee you his yards per attempt are not.
That I don't know. It's a good question.
I'm going to look it up real quick.
I know the average time to throw.
He has the quickest one.
The diff are the lowest. I don't want to say they're the worst. They're the lowest. Now, if just throwing the ball as deep as every time doesn't mean it's a good idea. You know what I mean?
Right.
Average up the target doesn't necessarily result in wins just by chucking the ball deep. Now, I definitely understand not the complaints, but the concerns about throwing the ball down the field. And I do think that needs to come. I'd be shocked if it doesn't. I thought Rodgers was a very accomplished deep thrower last we saw him with the Jets. I think it's all based on protection. I don't think it's based on him being afraid to get hit or anything like that. I just think he's been super efficient in using his mind. Also, if you're going to start using more of these jumbo packages with Anderson and Washington, you can max protect out of that with no problem whatsoever and, take shots down the field. So I'll be shocked if they don't come. I mean, but I'm a little concerned about it, because one thing I chart, Chris, is explosive play rate. They've allowed 10 more explosive passes than they've created. You need some more explosion, period, to hang with the big boys.
I would agree with that. I would agree that they need to create more explosive plays. And to answer the question before, how much yards per attempt?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Aaron Rodgers is tied for 13th in the NFL with 7.3 yards per attempt. So
what number 13th did you say?
13th in the league, tied with Michael Penix.
Okay.
So and
Penix is a deep ball, chuck it up guy.
right.
It couldn't be any different, right?
So you can look at just yards per attempt and think that they're on the same, but obviously Penix has a much higher average depth of target, and that the reason why something like that can happen is because the Steelers lead the league in yak right now. They are intentionally. This is not like Aaron Rodgers can't throw the ball downfield, so he's just checking it down all the time, or he's just only throwing stuff short because he doesn't want to throw it downfield or he can't throw it downfield. It is literally that is their game right now.
Yeah,
defenses.
Which I also think was an extension of the run game too. When you couldn't run the ball well, we're going to throw it horizontally, to help our time of possession, which is another problem area to me. But I mean, right.
Or it's a way to protect against, when Brian Flores is going to be bringing the house.
Yeah.
You protect against that by getting rid of the ball quickly. You're not trusting your very young and developing offensive line to protect against these very complex exotic blitzes from Brian Flores, so that you can, just for the sake of, hey, we're going to chuck the ball downfield no matter. This is not the Russell Wilson 2024 Steelers.
I say it's not Wilson moonballs.
You don't want that to be your offense. And I think it's funny that now that the Steelers are becoming more of a quick game, short pass, West Coast offense type team, that people are now complaining that they're not throwing the ball downfield enough, when we saw what that offense looks like last year. We saw how volatile it can be. Sure, there are going to be times in which you are going to be an insanely explosive offense, but I would much rather be a West Coast style offense that just
I'd rather be efficient.
Yes, you'd rather. And so here's the thing. I had a graphic pulled up. Aaron Rodgers is in the four quadrants of where you want to be in terms of accuracy and efficiency. He's in the bottom left hand corner, so barely just making it, but he's in that square of being both efficient and accurate.
Okay,
sitting there right next to Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and that's what Mahomes has become. He's not a chuck and duck kind of guy anymore either. He's really good from the head neck up,
Right, and so I don't see why it's a problem that the Steelers' offense has become something like this. Now, do you eventually need to find a way to attack defenses downfield? Absolutely,
I think so. Yes.
Well, and I think the way that you do that, because the quick game has been kind of there all 4 games. They've kind of been doing this all 4 games. The one thing that's not been there for 3 games and been there for 1 game has been the running game. Now, if you can establish the run game every single week and you can run the ball every single week, you're going to force defenses to bring more guys down low into the box. And then that's when you can run play action and take shots down the field, hit your go balls, whatever you want to do. But it requires other things to get set up, because if defenses are just going to shell you to death, which is what is happening, the Steelers.
I'm glad you said that, because that's where I was going next.
Well, they've seen the 7th highest rate of two high shells in the league.
Right.
Like,
you would think explosive passing games see that stuff. This is just a slap in the face of your run game.
Yes, this is saying, hey, we're going to 2-high shell you to death and force you to run the ball. And this past week,
they're not good at it.
Right. And this past week, they finally made a defense pay for it by running the ball.
Yep.
And so now
that's Rodgers at the line of scrimmage. I'm not going to throw in this 2-high shell. I have too many other layups. I have too many other handoffs, right?
The way Arthur Smith put it this week when I asked him about this is we're going to go where the defense isn't. Why in the heck would you, if you have 4 deep defenders that are just shelling you to death, why are you going to throw toward those deep defenders when you can throw it underneath them? When you have DK Metcalf, who can do the alien type things that he did in Dublin, when you have Jonnu Smith, when he gets any kind of space, can also create yards after the catch. When Calvin Austin can do the same thing when he's healthy. Scotty Miller can do. You have all the speed.
They have speed.
They have speed, and that's another way you can use it. Catch and run.
Yeah, I think we talked about this at some point too. Seattle last year had a really bad running game. Their O-line was terrible. They got rid of Geno. They drafted O-line. They were at the top of the league in 2-high shells that they saw because of Metcalf. Because Metcalf's scary, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because now people would be like,
and they couldn't make people pay for it with the run game.
Right. And so that's what the Steelers need to do. The Steelers need to, when they play the Browns, now I can look it up really quick, but I don't know their differences yet. But when they play the Browns, they need to force the Browns to play with an 8th guy in the box. That's what they need to do. Because if the Browns aren't going to do that, they're just going to play too high and they're just going to do the same thing that the Vikings did pretty much. Then make them pay for it. Run the ball.
Yeah.
And you'll be absolutely happy with running the ball and quick game stuff all day long, because then you'll be able to be efficient. Listen, this offense needs to do one thing better almost than anything else, and I would be more concerned about this than deep shots. They need to be better on 3rd down.
Yeah.
They are not good on 3rd down, and it's not extending drives, because if they get in the red zone, it's a touchdown. Like, that's what they're doing right now. They are converting trips to the red zone like crazy. I've got a stat for you whenever after you're done talking next, but it's pretty insane to see what this team is doing once they get into the red zone, because it's up there with the best offenses in the league pretty much.
It was like number 1 before the Minnesota game. I mean, they were 8-9, I think, or 9-10. They only failed once in the red zone before this game. This time they had, I think, 3 failures. What's kind of crazy, Chris, along those lines, is they're 3-1 and really haven't asked much out of Boz. I mean, think about it compared to the last couple of years, what we're used to. Like, hey, can you nail a couple 60-yarders and go out there 5 times a game? They really haven't had to use them.
He won the entire game by himself in week 1 last year.
Right.
The entire game.
Nuts.
So here we go. The Steelers have a 69.2% efficiency rate in the red zone. That is touchdowns only. That's not touchdowns and field goals. So that is literally turning a trip inside the 20 into a touchdown. They are
That's
9
a
of
Rodgers stat, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
But here's the thing is that I think it's also, I think there's a couple of things. I think Rodgers plays a big role into that, but I also think that it's Rodgers being a good quarterback for Arthur Smith also, because
it's not like Arthur Smith has nothing to do with it.
No, because the Steelers were not good in the red zone last year.
They haven't been good for 5 years.
Well, and the thing is that we thought Russell Wilson was going to help them with that, because Russell Wilson had typically been a very, very good red zone quarterback.
I made the joke a million times last summer. Oh, maybe they'll actually throw touchdowns this year. I mean, they won't have years where they throw 13 touchdowns. I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah. So
they also have big bodied guys like Metcalf and Washington. And, I mean, that's not by accident either.
So here you go. The Steelers have a higher percentage rate, or I will say, okay, they are just barely behind that. By the way, that's seventh in the league, seventh highest percentage in the league. They are 1.6% behind the Lions. So there's a good team to be behind.
It's always great. Yeah.
Right. No, I'm sorry. They're 4% behind. They're 1.5% behind the Packers. They are two spots ahead of the Bills. They're 2 spots ahead, or the 3 spots ahead of the Broncos. They're ahead of the Cowboys. They're ahead of the Seahawks. They're ahead of the Vikings. They're ahead of the Chiefs. They're ahead of the Ravens. They're ahead of the Rams. They are way
good offenses.
But the problem is their red zone attempts. They are tied for 14th in the league in red zone attempts. They only have 13 attempts, while the Rams have like 21 trips, and the Lions
they played last
19
night
trips. Well, that's true. But the Lions have played only 4 games, and the Colts have played only 4 games, and they have 19 trips to the red zone. The problem with the Colts is that they get into the red zone, and they can't even get a touchdown half of the time. That's the problem with the Colts. The Colts have a 47. Yeah, the Colts have a 47% efficiency rate in the red zone. So,
but a huge correlation with that, just off the top of my head, and not have to study those other teams.
Yeah,
the Steelers just don't run enough plays.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, I was saying that they're not sustaining drives. That's the problem.
Not sustaining drives, right?
And third down's a big part of that. I'll look at the third down thing here in a second.
So as you know, Wes and I do the drive.
Yeah.
And this is the way I've been describing time of possession lately. I go to the doctor and I say my elbow's hurting, my knee's hurting, my time of possession is hurting. Doc, what's wrong? And he'll be like, oh, you got a torn ligament in your knee, you got lung issues, you got, carpal tunnel, blah, blah. So the symptoms is what they need to fix for time of possession. It's real easy to be like, oh, we can get our time of possession better. It's a group stat. But if they could get back to 30 minutes a game, 31 minutes a game, and that's running game and getting off the field, you know what I mean? That's third downs, as you mentioned.
So this is going to be a different situation when the Steelers come back to play the Browns. I'm looking it up right now. The Browns. So when they were playing the Vikings,
their defense is great.
Yeah. So when they were playing the Vikings lead the league in too high percentage.
Okay.
They're 73% of the time they're in too high.
I know it's total opposite.
The Browns are 5th highest in single high.
Yeah.
And they're primarily in cover 1. They are 2nd highest in the league in cover 1 usage. They are cover 3. They are a little further down. They're 25th in cover 3. So you can also look at man coverage. So I would assume the Browns are high in man coverage.
I bet they're very high.
They're 5th highest in the league in man coverage.
Single high in man.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to get.
Okay, so there's an opportunity to possibly take the top off, because if they're going to be single high, then you could have Metcalf and Scotty Miller, or Metcalf and Roman Wilson run go routes. You can have that happen every now and then. That could be part of what you do if you are seeing single high, because one safety can't be in 2 places at once.
And the Steelers have faced some good pass rushes. I mean, the Jets have some dudes. The Patriots were leading the league in sacks. Seattle's, to me, is one of the best in the league. The Vikes get after quarterbacks by manufacturing it. But Garrett's a different beast.
He is.
And he's playing. You can't ever say it. I urge you, you've done this long enough, that if you ever say anything good about Myles Garrett, you might get your house egged. And I'm willing to take that, because he's actually leveled up. He's playing much better than he ever has. And I always thought it was like Myles Garrett and the Pips with his D-line. The rest of that D-line is playing really, really good too. Luckily their offense is horrendous, but
Yes, their offense is pretty bad. And Jim says it here. The R-line is going to get another test against the Browns. I would agree with that. The Browns,
maybe the biggest test is my point.
Right, and so, but the good thing is that it's not like this offense just put up 24 points and looked pretty darn good against scrub defense with a scrub coordinator.
Exactly.
It's just a different type of defense.
It is a different type.
They're all too high, and a lot of zero, and a lot of blitz. And the Browns are going to blitz too, but it's a completely different scheme. By the way, the Steelers on third down, we're talking about time of possession. The Steelers on third down are converting just 38.6% of their third downs, and that's 18th in the league. That's not going to cut it.
Not going to cut it. Again, You go to the doctor with the time of possession symptom. He says we'll get better on third downs. You know?
Yeah, because you convert third downs, and there you go. I mean, you hold on to the ball longer. I see. That's the thing, though, is that I think that's really the biggest issue. Like, other than like, okay, when are you going to start taking deep shots? I don't think anybody's going to be complaining about deep shots if this offense is averaging 27 to 30 points a game because they're possessing the ball like crazy and they get into the red zone and they're nearly automatic.
Yeah, if you could run 10 to 12 more plays a game, you'll have one more red zone shot at least.
And that's a pretty good shot of having at least another touchdown a game. And right now, this offense is averaging 24 points a game, and I feel like they're really just now starting to scratch the surface.
Agreed.
I mean, let's be real here. If this offense can average 26 to 27 points a game, which I don't think that's really that much of an ask.
It'd be a lot better than it's been.
Oh no, 100%. I mean, even 24 points a game is pretty darn good. But I'm just saying, I don't think it really takes like.
I don't think it takes a ton to take one more step.
Yeah, here's the problem. Another problem, and this is where you go into like explosive plays and everything like that. The Steelers are averaging only 4.9 yards per play. Like that's got to get better.
Yeah,
but I would address third down before I'd address explosive plays. That's just me, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can be efficient on first down and second down, and you can make those third downs, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, you know, you should be able to convert a higher percentage of those. You should be able to.
Their early down success rate has gotten better and better. That's a very big indicator of wins and losses in this league. If you have early down successes, because it's easy to say you get better on third down, but not if it's always 3rd and 12 and 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. You know, I mean, it's a tough way to live. 3rd and 2s, okay, you know.
Yeah. You don't. I mean, if you're at 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 8 all the time, you're not going to be an efficient offense.
No.
But if you can be good on first down and second down, and whenever you do face third down, if it's third, like I said, if it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, you know, you should be able to convert a good percentage of those. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, I feel like
that goes back to the running game to me.
Yes, 100%.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't think that I'd have to look it up, and I don't even know where to look it up to see what their average distance is on third down. But I have a feeling it's not like,
I don't think it's obscene.
I don't think it is either. And I think
they take very few negative plays.
Right.
I mean, you say what you want about their offense. They don't create many explosives, but they have very few negatives.
And I think that's a pretty good floor to have.
Yeah, it's a good start.
It's as an offense. You don't want to be really good with the explosive plays, but also be, again, you don't want to be volatile. Would you rather be this offense that seems to be all or nothing? Your deep balls galore, and they hit every now and then, but you're
3 and out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or would you rather be this offense that kind of, I'm going to use the phrase and people aren't going to like it, but you dink and dunk your way downfield.
Let's call it sustain.
Yeah. I mean,
have a sustaining offense, you know, right?
Yeah. I don't think it's a bad place to be. Plus, it's low risk. You're not putting the ball in the other team's hands. And when your defense is literally tasked with, hey, we're going to get more takeaways than our offense is going to turn the ball over.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, that's what you want to do. Like you want to be that. Yeah. So,
and I do think putting more big people on the field helps that goal.
100%. And I think
it starts about tactics and, you know.
Yeah. And the Steelers right now are 3rd in the league in 12 personnel, 2nd in the league in 13 personnel. Like they're obviously wanting to be a bigger offense. I think that's really the trend of the league too, is like you're starting to see a lot more of that. Unless you're Sean McVay and you have a Puka Nacua and you can pretty much be in 11 personnel, but be able to do things that a lot of teams need to be in 12 personnel to do, because Puka Nacua
can block like a fullback.
Right. Pretty much. But anyway, not everybody gets to have Sean McVay as their coach either.
True. Right. But now you're comparing yourself to the best offenses in the league as opposed to just don't be last, you know.
Exactly.
Right.
Like
the bar has gone up.
And see, I think, and this is kind of like my final thought here. Arthur Smith has shown what he can do as an offensive coordinator. He's shown that he can have a top 5 offense in the league, and he doesn't. Yes, he had Derrick Henry, and I understand that's always the argument there. Well, he had Derrick Henry. Sure, it helps, but that's not the only way the Titans attack defenses. They attack defenses with those quick short passes, catch and run. AJ Brown, led the league in yak under Arthur Smith. Like, that wasn't an accident. They wanted to use AJ Brown in that way. They also were phenomenal in the play action game. And I think that is like the next step for me. I think you're going to see more explosive plays if the Steelers are able to establish the run, get those chunk runs the same, like the Titans used to be able to do, get these catch and run passes like the Steelers do now, like the Titans
they already do that. Yeah.
Right. But then add on, okay, now you can run the ball. Now let's use play action. Let's get these Shanahan-esque concepts that we know Arthur Smith has in his bag, all the burner and the rage and the blazer, all these concepts that he knows that he can use, that he learned from Matt LaFleur, that he can start using. And there you go. And now you can start taking out some more chunks of the defense through play action. I think that's the next step before you start being like, let's just be throwing go balls all the time. I think, yeah. And I think you'll see more that way.
You don't need the chuck and duck go balls desperation stuff.
Should not want to be either.
No, that's not sustainable stuff.
No, it's not. So anyway, that'll do it for this episode of the Southside Beat. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be back next week to preview that upcoming game against the Browns. We will get a better look at what the AFC North is going to look like, because right now the Steelers are leading the division. All of the other teams are reeling because of injuries, because of the Ravens are probably decimated more than anybody else, but the Browns are just now turning to Dylan Gabriel. They've got a tough matchup against, when the Steelers play the Browns, they're going to be playing a Browns team that just played in London the week before.
It's such an awful stretch for them.
And they're playing a team that's going to be nice and fresh coming off of a bye.
Exactly. I don't know why that happened the way it did.
I don't know. And by the way, just for people to be like, "Oh, it's good, it's perfect." Mike Tomlin is 14-4 coming off of a bye week.
Yeah.
There's no there's no this is a Tomlin special coming up. If they lose, it's a rarity. It's not a common thing. But anyway, we'll be back next week to talk about that game and to look at the AFC North and to see how the Steelers are possibly faring heading into week 6. But until then, we'll catch you guys on the Flippity Flip. We will see you later.